Shefsky here, and welcome to Fantasy House. This is the world's #1 make-believe real estate podcast. I love doing this show because every week we get to go on a guided tour through a different person's imaginary dream home. They're always pushing the limits with mind-blowing houses and weird technologies and magic and all that cool stuff. They make weird, unique rooms. And, I ask them, I'm like, hey, could you come up with appliances and technologies that we don't even have so they can solve your very unique problems? People do that. And really it's just good old fashioned creativity and silliness. Fantasy House podcast is NSFW. It's not safe for work, although we're super Mr. Rogers inspired. It's a lot more of an adult Mr. Rogers experience. So it's raw, it's honest. We talk about sex, drugs, people's bathroom habits. Sometimes people take us to dark places, and we're all about authenticity and really reigniting that carefree, playful spirit we had when we were 4 or 5 years old. Just fearless exploring of our imaginations and ourselves. Do you remember that? I love that. I feel like we need that as adults too. And that's what I want to facilitate with Fantasy House. I want to inspire people to explore that again, get that feeling, that little fire lit inside for story time and imaginary make-believe time and just being ourselves. And it really is a great time. In Nathan Hurd's episode, he has a zero gravity room. So you just go in the room, flip a switch, and you're floating around. Jade Catapretta has a lazy river going through her fantasy house that has sexualized dolphins in it. Fifi Dosh has a private hot tub on top of a private mountain in her backyard. John and Tom from Chad Goes Deep, their fantasy house is actually a cloud that floats around like an RV in the sky. So they can go anywhere they want. Nick the plumber, he's got a live studio audience. So when he's with his family and he drops the punchline of one of his dad jokes, he gets a real applause. Joel Jimenez loves to cook, and by the way, is an amazing cook. But in Joel Jimenez's fantasy house, he doesn't want to clean up. He hates cleaning up. Loves to cook, hates cleaning up. Well, he's got a kitchen that washes itself. In episode 94, Mike Ishak's kitchen is just a portal to his aunt's Indonesian kitchen, so he can have ringdung anytime he wants, which I've never had ringdung in real life, but we had it on his episode imaginarily, and if it's anywhere as delicious as it is fun to say, it's got to be good, right? Ringdung. Jeremiah Watkins did a Halloween episode, and his toilet paper dispenser is a mummy that you just unwrap and wipe your butt with. Nat Baymel doesn't even have a bathroom. Speaking of bathrooms, he simply has a wizard that anytime you need to go, the wizard appears and just makes your bowels empty. Just abracadabra, poof. Or poop, poop, poof. So cool, right? Every episode is brought to you by me, Jon Shefsky. I am your local Southern California realtor. Not just a fantasy realtor. No, a really real realtor. And I would love to help you with anything real estate related, whether you're thinking about buying a house, selling a house, maybe you're interested in why I love multifamily apartment buildings, any of that. I would love to be of service. And if you're thinking, John, I don't care about real estate at all, that's great. But I know you know someone who does. And you got to let them know. You got to say, hey, before you go making any moves, you got to talk to my boy, Jon Shefsky. He's a really real realtor, and he would love to be of service. And I really would. And even if you're not in SoCal, I can still help you because I have a referral network all over the country with some fantastic agents, and it's growing all the time. So check in with me. Let me know, because I got agents in Nashville, in Chattanooga, Austin, Texas, Boise, Idaho, Phoenix, Arizona. I got you covered. And like I said, that list is just growing. So just think of me when you're thinking of real estate. Be like, I'm going to hit Shefsky up before I do anything. Just send me an email, fantasyhousepodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to be of service or help in any way. Brent Dunham's here, and I'm super stoked. We used to riff and make silly times when we were kids, and now we're going to riff and make silly times as full-grown adults with beards and jobs and wives and kids. We're coming straight at you. Now, in the words of the great Angelo Bowers, let us do this!
Oh man, this is, as soon as I heard about this podcast, I thought, one, that's the best idea for a podcast ever. And two, when can I be on it? And I'm so happy that it's finally happening. And I have to give a disclosure here first, is that I only listened to one episode because I didn't want anybody else's ideas to influence me. I love the podcast. I listened to one episode, and then it's been like too long since I've been able to listen again because of, I don't want to be influenced. So after this, I'm very excited that I get to go back and listen to every other episode that I've missed. So
that's a great way to put it too. After telling me like, so you're only listening to one episode, you're like, don't worry, I'll listen to more, Jon. No, dude, that's genius. The brilliant comedian Brody Stevens used to say that he doesn't like to listen to things. He doesn't want it to rub off on him. So he doesn't want other comedy. And I used to feel the same way. It's like, man, it's already been rubbing off on you your whole life since you were a kid watching all the stand-up specials. You don't want to watch someone now and then 2 weeks later be like, oh, I think I subconsciously stole that fucking bit. And so I totally respect that. It's hard to resist, but I totally respect that.
The downside, though, is I might be repeating things that everyone else has already said.
That's true, because you're out of touch. You don't know what everyone's saying to be able to write away from that. No, dude, I think whatever you do is going to be great. I'm excited just for you to get creative.
Okay.
And there's no finger pointing where people are like, someone else already said that. Let me tell you, we had so many guests be like, I have portal doors. And I eventually had to say like, hey, like, unless you get something really creative with your portal doors, don't just have a portal door. Everybody's like, I got a bathroom that's a fish tank and you're inside and you can see the fish swimming by. So there's so much commonality, but it's actually more exciting that people have these common things. It makes you go like anthropologically, you're like, why do we all want to take a shit underwater? Why do we want to see fish swimming around while we're shitting? We must have come from the ocean. So don't stress it, even if you got the same thing as everyone.
That is true. That's I mean, it's either just a really good idea that everyone has collectively, or it's some anthropological
it's a weird common denominator,
human nature thing that we're uncovering here.
So
that's great,
dude. Speaking of podcasts, you have your own podcast, and I haven't heard it yet at all because I don't want to throw it off on me. But I just saw the topic, and I thought, what a great idea. Do you want to explain so our listeners can hear about it?
Sure. It's called talkin-it-out-radio. It's me and my uncle, who is a conservative Mormon, and we're talking about politics and things that are happening in the world. We're coming from, polar opposite, ideologically, but I just thought he and I always have really good conversations, like my whole life. If I ever want like a deep, challenging conversation, he's the guy to go to. Like, we debate everything, and we do it in such a way that is enjoyable. It's like real discourse. It's not yelling or name calling or anything like that. And I just thought it was time to kind of put that out there in the world. I think that's what we need right now is an example of two people talking and about from different sides, trying to meet in the middle, trying to understand the other side without trying to change their mind, because that's not really possible or practical. I don't want to change people's minds, but I want people to talk, and I think that's the best thing we can do right now. So we just started, so we're getting our toes wet here. We're a little awkward. We've never done a podcast before. We're not politicians. We're not pundits. We don't know stats. We're just regular people, kind of sharing our experiences, like what we do know and what we do, how we think about what's happening without any sort of agenda or it's just what we feel like. How do you feel right now? So far it's going pretty well. So
I think that perspective is actually the most interesting one, is because the amount of data that we have right now, like just I think as human beings, is overwhelming, and like we haven't evolved to catch up to even like analyzing that and making smart decisions from it. And you can have plenty of like talking heads on all the corporate garbage, McDonald's for your soul news outlets for whatever political perspective you have. And there's plenty of that out there. And there's plenty of that now in the podcast world too, of just, you can listen to, the BBC podcast if you want socialist kind of views. You can listen to Ben Shapiro if you want conservative stuff. And they're almost overly into the stats and the pros. And it's like, those aren't the main people. Just like the media only shows you the craziest conservatives and the craziest liberals. It's like, that's not the regular average person in my neighborhood that I think like it's so important that they get along just for general civility and to learn and to grow. And so the idea that you guys aren't pundits is like, I feel like that's even more interesting. And like, just like, what do two regular people that have different views on this think about stuff? And how are you able to go and talk about it and just be like, oh, it's crazy you think that, because I thought this one. No, yeah, man, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm right. Okay. we're not killing each other or other people, then I think we can get along.
Yeah, it might be boring in a sense for people looking for, politics, because we run into so many situations where it's like, I heard this, I saw this statistic, but I don't know if, I don't know the source, there's a lot of, I don't know the truth here, but I think working through the ambiguity is hopefully the interesting part.
Yeah. I check back in a couple months and be like, man, how's your podcast going? So, my uncle and me, we're both in jail. We tried to kill each other. Like, maybe that wasn't a good idea. No.
Yeah. No, it's so far. If I think, excuse me.
That's not a sound effect, guys. That's a real dog. I don't have a keyboard out right now. The dog bark sound effect. It's like the cash. It's like the jackpot. What do you call it? The slot machine sound effect, but it's with a doggy. Well, I want to ask you, what's your number one your number one problem that you've solved is? Because I feel like that's a really fun question to ask.
Sure.
Not getting a dog to obey is one of the main ones.
I thought it would be instructive to present the problem to you live on the air. Training a dog.
Oh, dude.
Winston.
Podcaster and unsuccessful dog whisperer Brent Dunham is with me today. It's very exciting to see.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. The biggest problem I've solved, I think, if I can call it a problem, was I got hired to teach at this school in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I'm a film person, as you'll soon
as everyone will soon understand.
Yes, you will. You will see the full scope of what that means, being a film person. But I started kind of doing like a artist in residence thing where I was kind of just dropping into their one film class. It was a high school, and just kind of guest lecturing. But I did it so much that I kind of worked my way in and got hired for the following school year to teach my own three of my own brand new classes. So that summer, I spent the entire summer creating curricula for 3 classes for junior high and high school from scratch. And that was the best, most exciting, challenging, stimulating summer, because I had nothing to go on. I had my college classes that, I could borrow, certain aspects from, but this is, junior high and high school. Like I'm not going to be teaching Bergman to middle schoolers. It's got to be kind of adjusted to the demographic. But yeah, just coming up, creating the syllabi and planning out the whole year. Like I had every single class locked in before day one. So I was like the most prepared stepping into my first official classroom that was all me. So that process was challenging, but exactly how I wanted to challenge myself. It was the beginning of my teaching career. I hadn't gone to school for teaching also. So I don't have a teaching degree. I have a master's degree, but because this was a charter school, so I could do that. I could teach without an actual teaching degree, but that's great. But I also had no training in how to be a teacher. So as I found out, over the 6 years that I taught there, that's pretty important. And that's something I had to learn on the job.
So I was going to say, did you pick it up? Because it sounds like naturally just your passion for making the lesson plans, I feel like has to translate somewhere into even if you aren't a learned teacher, you're going to learn through the experience and because you have the passion, right?
Yeah, sure. I was operating on pure passion, for the first 3 years, I'd say. Because the teaching part is very hard, is very difficult. And that's something I experienced, but I was so passionate about it that I gave myself, some time to, not to stress about not being the greatest teacher. yeah, hoping that I would eventually learn how to be a teacher. I knew the subject inside and out, but being a teacher is a whole different thing. So that it was tough. I didn't quite get it, and after 5 years, I realized that it wasn't enough. Being passionate about a subject is not enough to be a full-time teacher, with that age group especially.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's got to be a challenge to try to keep them interested in stuff. And so how do you, like, stay in touch enough to communicate with them and not be the old guy that's trying to talk trying to sound hip when they're like, what the hell? And you're like, I'm just trying to communicate with you little pieces of shit, and you're making me feel bad because I don't know what's going on. But then if I try to say, a cool word, then you guys say I'm an asshole for trying to fake it. How do I make you assholes happy? So what was it like teaching, saying that you're after 5 years feeling like it wasn't what you wanted to do forever?
It was
like
like I said, like the first couple where it was still just so exciting to have my own class, get to teach whatever I want. It was a charter school, so there was, and my dean was like completely hands off. There's no state standards even at that point.
What is a charter school? Like, what does that mean? Be careful, get your hand on the table, by the way, because that actually Mike picks it up big time. Sorry, I have to bob for apples. Just tie your hands behind your back. You're like, I'm here. You're just hide back there, just trying to talk. Just don't touch the mic with your mouth either. You're like, just let me touch something with something, please.
I got my hands in my pockets now. We're good.
Perfect.
A charter school is there is some government money, but it's mostly through grants and other sources of funding.
Okay.
So we're not necessarily beholden to state standards. There is a charter board, I guess, like a national board that you have to get certified, right? Like there's qualifications.
Yeah.
You can't just open a school and call it a charter school and do whatever you want.
All right, cross that off my list. All right.
Yeah.
Fantasy House Charter School. I always wanted to be a principal of a school. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like I said, my dean was completely hands off, and she was so like open to everything. Like it was also like an arts performance based thing. So like we had dance and theater and art and music and now film once I got there. And so it's just this really like humanities utopia, for all the kids who don't want a traditional high school experience, and they're the weird ones who wear capes to school and stuff. Like, this is the place.
I was going to say that might have been good for me until you said they wear capes. Like, well, I'm weird, maybe in less like, cape wearing ways. I feel like I'd go there and I'd be like, you guys are all conformists to your weirdness. I need to go to no fucking school. I should be camping right now. I wouldn't even fit in I don't even fit into the weirdo school. So people will send their kids there like for a special education. Are they paying out of pocket then, basically, since it's not fully funded by the state?
No, it's tuition free.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just mostly grants and other. So we have to fundraise.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe there's fundraisers and stuff that parents would hopefully be participating in and helping out with, but it's not tuition.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's called FALA. It's in Flagstaff, Arizona. Flagstaff Arts and Leadership Academy. Shout out to FALA. After 5 years, I think it was like during my 5th year was when I was like, okay, it's been 5 years.
Yeah,
it's really tough. It's kind of wearing me down. I'm losing the fire that I started with. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to give myself one more school year, full year, give it my all, just to make sure that this is actually, I'm not just having a bad year or, that I think this is a real decision. So I did the 6th year fully aware that this was either my last year or I was going to commit, and by the end I was like, okay, I feel like I made the right choice. This, teaching is not for me. I was teaching at the university also. Yeah. So I was teaching at the university also, and that was much more my speed, because it's all subject, and you don't have to handhold students. You don't have to deal with a room full of 25 preteens. It's college kids who are there. They're paying to be there, and you can grade their papers and not have to feel like responsible for helping them improve their stuff. Like, they're adults, so. Yeah, the other thing was, because I was the fire, like I said, was leaving me. I felt like I was becoming a bad teacher, and I felt also responsible for the kids. Like, they deserve a teacher who's dedicated and wants to be here every day. And so it was not just a selfish, like, I'm just going to quit because it's hard. It was I should take this seriously. And
dude, I've been there 100%. And so I've worked like a million jobs before I found the job that like worked well from working a million jobs. And seriously, I felt the exact same thing. It's like, my clients deserve someone that is going to be super passionate, and there are super passionate people out there. I shouldn't be the one doing this stuff. And it was
right.
It was when I was in the tattoo world, and I was just like, dude, I shouldn't be tattooing. Like, my back hurts. I'd rather be writing and doing all this comedy stuff that I'm passionate about. And I'm sitting here, and I was like, and there's a perfectly good, even in my own shop, I was like, there's perfectly good artists that are super enthusiastic and are going to give these people what they deserve. And I stepped back. And I think hearing you say what you did, I was like, it was very much the same thing, where it's like, it's not because I'm being lazy or whatever else. It's like,
right,
this isn't meant for me, and they deserve better.
Yeah.
That's great that you did that. You had the courage, because I'm sure the paycheck was nice too. And you're just like, am I going to be able to keep this going if I do something else? But it's like, it doesn't matter. You're being an asshole if you're going to be, you know what I mean? It's like being married to someone and you're like, oh, I don't love them. It's like, well, let them go find someone that loves them, you fucking asshole, just because you're afraid.
Right. Because you like the house or whatever. You're just going to stick with it. Right.
Because you like the house. Does anyone stay in a marriage because they like the house? The house is pretty sweet though, right? You're like, 3-car garage. It's got a man cave.
No, I knew somebody who that was their excuse.
That's so
really
weird. That's so weird.
It was terrible to listen to. And I was like, who are you? What is your major problem? Because
one of my grandma's friends confided in my mom and told her that she didn't love her husband, but they were in their 70s at this time. But she's like, but he takes care of me and blah blah blah, but she doesn't love him. And like, when I heard that, I was like, how long did she stay with that guy? Like, her whole life. And now she's still alive, but she's in a home. And it's like, dude, like, how, it's like one of those romantic comedy, like The Notebook. It's like, you wasted your whole life because to me, the practicality is like, don't waste your time. The only real currency you have, your time, when you know that you should like at least try to enjoy some of these things in life. But to her, the practicality was like, well, he pays the bills and he takes care of me. And it's just like, huh? That's not that practical. Holy fuck! Like, so I guess that's more serious than just a job, but still, it is serious to get her done and solve that problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go to your fantasy house. Let's take this. We're flying the orange fantasy house drone over your fantasy house, looking down on it. What are we seeing?
Nice.
What's the geographic location?
Okay, so it's in a it's like in a nexus of 4 different regions. Okay, so the front yard.
This is the kind of house you stay in a marriage for, right here. 4 regions. I will. I don't love him, but he takes care of all the regions of my house. Very practical.
Yeah. Four. If you imagine the 4 directions, right?
Yeah.
So, like south, let's say, would be like the California coast, like a beach.
Yep.
That's what you're looking at. The opposite end is like the Swiss Alps.
Yep.
So it's imagine like a slope, right? The house is kind of in the middle. Down below is the beach, and then up above behind is the Alps. On the east side, we've got a rainforest, like a full-on jungle, and then on the west side is a just like a perfect idyllic city skyline. So we've got beach, mountains, rainforest, and city.
You got the whole thing figured out. You're like, I'm not going to miss out on anything. You have a rainforest and the mountains. Oh, dude.
But the entrance, though, you're basically riding through the opening gates of Jurassic Park. So look at the big gates, right? No matter what you're listening to in the car, it stops automatically and starts playing the Jurassic Park theme song as you drive through.
So great.
Also, there's to go from the house to the beach, there's either a giant water slide or a zip line to get down there.
Oh,
a zip line that's
awesome.
You obviously don't have to rely on your upper body strength to hold on to. You're just strapped in. But that's super super fun. And then to get back up, there's a gondola,
oh yeah, I love it.
And then
gondola ride.
Yeah, which then, if you want, you can stop at the house, or you can keep going straight up to the mountains. So it's an extended gondola ride.
I love it. I would take the slide. I'd probably take a water slide down to the beach because I feel like that'd be really fun. I've never been on like a long water slide where like, how many minutes have we been on? Like, you're all checking your watch, like as you're sliding down. Like, this is like.
Yeah, no, it would be the longest water slide. That's safe. I just watched that Action Park documentary on HBO.
I don't even know about it. No,
it's called Class Action Park.
Are you? Because everyone gets hurt.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West of water parks where they're just building stuff and kids are getting hurt and people dying on this stuff. And it's amazing, but this one would be completely safe.
Thank you.
No one gets hurt.
Appreciate it. I don't even want to get hurt in my fantasies over here. It's like, can we just my health insurance? I don't know what they're gonna do if I get hurt even in the fantasy. So we've covered California. We have covered fantasy, and it's pretty good, but it's not 100%.
So that's the general location. I think the style that I was going for is like more, I guess, a craftsman.
Yeah.
With a big, all I really need is just a giant porch that goes all the way around. So you can be on the porch. You can, go to the west side and
the porch like a veranda. It surrounds the whole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that.
360 porch that you can then sit in front of whichever backdrop for your morning coffee. You want morning in the rainforest or in the Alps or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But each side of the house facing whichever geographical region is custom to that area. So for the Alps, that side of the house is a log cabin.
Oh, dude, I love that.
And the rainforest side is like bamboo, straw roof, kind of stuff.
Oh, this is so much fun. All under one roof. It's just going to be like, I love that. Oh, that's cool.
My new cars from Grandpa.
Those are your new cars from Grandpa? Oh,
yeah,
those are really cool.
Lost in the corner of your bed.
Oh, they were locked in the corner? Oh, that's cool. Oh, look at those. Let's show Brent.
Oh.
Saltwater taffy, little Hot Wheels truck.
That's awesome.
A little British taxi minivan. The cool little Thunderbird. All right. Now Brent's going to continue to Oh, yeah, dude. Now Brent's going to tell us more about his fantasy house. All right. I really do like that, though. The like whatever angle you're looking at, it's themed with that. So
yes.
That's really fun. That's like you're never wanting. You're like, no, I got all the designs I want in my house because I only have like 3 or 4 different designs that I'm super into. So if I had all that in one house, I'd be like, I guess we got it. I guess we're good.
Right.
Like at Epcot Center, how you just have all the different countries. You're just like, all right, where else do we need to go? We're here.
Exactly. My wife and I have a running joke that I'm always trying to take her to romantic places that have a view, but that the place itself is terrible. So, the view is the primary thing, as long as there is a view of something.
Yeah.
So in this case, I got four options of a view that we can choose from.
And hopefully she doesn't complain about the place itself, because this is your fantasy house. Like, honey, the mortgage on this thing is, I can't even tell you, so you better like this thing. It's fantasy. It's unlimited.
All right, so the entrance, I guess, the foyer, it would be the Red Room from Twin Peaks. The red curtains and the black and white floor, the Venus de Milo statue. Yeah. And so anyone who comes over has to sit in that room for a minute. We have cherry pie and coffee, which is another Twin Peaks thing.
Yep.
Just kind of like, settle in, kind of ease our way into the situation.
Definitely a nice way to spook me out and kind of a surreal trippiness. Be like, here for the tour.
I mean, at that point, it sets the bar, right? Like, you don't know what to expect. Anything could happen at this point. So that's where it keeps things interesting for my guests. Also, continuing the Twin Peaks theme, I would have a kind of a house-wide system connected to like a Siri type, voice activated whatever assistant, but it would be David Lynch's voice. Because he does the weather report, right? So you can, when you ask him for the weather, he's already got you.
That's
got
great.
You covered. Oh wait, I need to go to the backyard.
Let's go to the backyard then.
We're still in the exterior. The backyard is kind of like a Disneyland situation where there's different areas, different worlds or whatever. One part is like a zoo, an open zoo, where there's no cages. It's just a natural preserve where all the animals get along. And it's like a Lion King situation or Ace Ventura or something. So you can just walk through. Like there's a tiger. He comes up and you pet him. Like you want to ride an elephant, you just hop on. So some sort of fantasy zoo that would never. I like that.
Work. Yeah, I wouldn't work in real life, but in the fantasy world, it'd be nice to just get the animals all in harmony. Like, you guys aren't going to eat each other when I turn around. This is really cool. Because in real life, you guys never seem to obey that golden rule. They just eat each other to death. That's great.
There would be I'm sure someone already said this, so I apologize in advance. Okay. But there would be a full life, actual functional Mario Kart track with the everything you need, like the shells, the weapons, the you can switch the race track, for different tracks, whatever.
Side note, can I just ask you this, Brent? In real life, you and I have rapped a little bit about VR in the past year or so, but stuff like driving games is one of my favorite like potentials for VR, which I don't own a VR myself. I've used my buddy Mike, who a great tattoo artist. He had the Oculus Rift and he had the Vive about like 2 years ago or so, and it blew my mind. And I was like, man, I cannot wait for flight simulators and to build my own little like car cockpit. And it's like, you're talking about Mario Kart right now. Mm-hmm. You can put yourself in that world pretty affordably at some point,
right?
Just out of curiosity, are you thinking about that, like VR style?
I mean, oh man, as we'll see, like I've got the idea of holograms or virtual reality or technology that puts you into a different space is something that's really exciting, and. I'm actually not a huge gamer per se.
Same here.
But put me in a VR Mario Kart and I won't leave. I'll just stay in there.
I'm the same way. I mean, I'm the guy that plays, and I'm sorry to my listeners that have heard me say this a million times. I'm the guy that plays like Grand Theft Auto. I was like, all I end up really doing is like being like, I'm just gonna go drive that car around the city forever, and like maybe try to jump it over like there'll be like an overpass or something like that. I was like, if I hit this hard enough, can I jump over it? And like everyone else is like beating missions and unlocking stuff, and I'm like, I literally just kind of want to like shoot guns in the desert and drive cars really fast through the dirt and up hills and stuff. And so I'm the same way, where I'm like, I'm not a huge gamer, but like if I can like actually like really drive a Formula One car, then I'm like, I could probably just race a bunch in the cars and like kind of create my own little games.
Yes.
Into a VR world. Okay, so go on.
Sure.
I had to stop you because I get excited about that, and I have this like fantasy of like, okay, you could actually buy a used cart on Craigslist, like engineless cart, and adapt that to a VR like Mario Kart like in your house. You could
For
put
sure.
that, you could build a wooden, and people have done these things. You build like a cool wooden frame for it and just have that. Like that's my little racing seat, and you have.
That's what, yeah.
So okay, cool. Okay,
That's awesome.
Now that we've agreed to that, let's move on. Keep going.
Also, still in the backyard would have a hedge maze from The Shining, full. But I would also hire an actor, either Jack Nicholson himself or a lookalike, to randomly enter the maze and chase me.
Fucking terrifying.
Not every time. So I don't know when it's going to happen.
I'll be over here playing Mario Kart. You guys can do you can have your Twin Peaks fucking your Twin Peaks fucking Shining house. I'm like, yeah, I'll just be driving cars in the whimsical zone. And by the way, this is your fantasy house. You're hiring actual Jack Nicholson. You're not wasting time with it. You don't need a lookalike. You don't have a budget.
Okay. Right. I mean, Jack Nicholson in 1980, not 2020, right?
Yeah. However you want. You've got it.
Because 2020 Jack chasing me wouldn't be too scary. I think I could outpace him. Yeah,
you have the About Schmidt room anywhere? Do you have an About Schmidt room? 2020 Jack Nicholson?
Okay, so I imagine you've been to Universal Studios. You've seen the Waterworld live action show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that, but it's Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh God.
Which is tough because a lot of that involves driving, very fast. So it would have to be like an arena where they just go in circles or something. But so a live action Mad Max show. There's a pool, but in the pool there's a full scale replica of the orca, the ship from Jaws, and then there's an animatronic full-size shark swimming around. Oh yeah. So the trick is you have to swim to the ship without getting eaten, and then when you're done, you have to go swim out away from the ship.
This is still you trying to come get me. You're like, John, the rest of the tour is over here. You're done with Mario Kart. I was like, no, you guys can go to the Jaws one now. Thanks. I'm terrified.
Now for something a little more pleasant, I realized I'm looking at this thinking, this is supposed to be like enjoyable. Like the zoo is enjoyable, but then all this other stuff is like really terrifying. But another element, I want a Euro style cafe, street cafe, where all there's like rows of chairs and seats, and all the chairs are pointing at the street. Yeah. So everyone's sitting there looking at the street, and then it's a busy street, so there's a bunch of people. It's like people watching, right?
Yeah.
And then I was in, I think it was Italy, at one of these things, and there was a street performer. Looked pretty normal, but people are walking by and he's just messing with people. Like he, like squirts water and like people look up because they don't know where it came from. And like, he's putting on a show for all the people sitting in the cafe. And it was the most like wholesome, heartwarming, hilarious, life affirming like show that I think I've ever seen. And it was free. And this guy was just doing his thing. And I don't know. I just want that experience.
Rad. Nobody's had that. Just a European street performer like their fantasy house. I think that's
a first.
I have a childhood memory of traveling with my family, and we were like late night in Paris. Well, I say late night, it was probably like 8 p.m., but I was a kid, and which is late night again now at this age for me. But there was a street vendor that was just like a hippie dude, and he was making these really cool like mandalas out of wire, and he was like twisting them right up in front of everyone and making this, and you could like form them and shape them. I still have it to this day, and it's still a memory, like a fond memory of like walking around with my parents as a little kid, like, where are we? Like in some other country, and like seeing the other people and the different smells and like just how it is and when you travel. So I share that love for that.
Yeah.
Raw human stuff like that. So where are you taking us inside?
I guess we'll stop at the kitchen.
Yes. Love kitchens.
This would be set up kind of like a buffet where there's different stations. Like if you go to like the World Buffet at the Rio or something, you've got Italian food, and then but instead of just like, it's not like a cafeteria setup, but it's just like the different areas of types of food. But so one area which I would frequent probably too often would be just a functioning Taco Bell, just a with everything, the dining room with the uncomfortable chairs, the soda machine.
There are awful color themes that they have, where it's like purple and just stark white.
Brown.
It's like purple, brown, and like stark white. You're like, who's your branding? Well, I guess you guys are successful, but holy fuck, why are you torturing me? Oh, it's so bad. Yeah. What would we eat?
Well, my go-to there used to be the 7-layer burrito until they discontinued it.
I used to love that burrito. That burrito was really good.
Mm-hmm.
The guacamole always had like this weird taste to it. It was like, is this made from like, does Kirkland make this out of like old batteries? There's something weird in the guacamole.
Yeah.
I still love it. Oh.
Yeah. It's not food, but it is good. Mm-hmm. I think that's the tagline for
As you're shitting it out, your body's like, that wasn't food, just so you know. You're like, what do you mean? That wasn't food.
I'm getting rid of all of this. I can't keep any of this.
None of this is it's like a writing session where you just walk away going, we came up with absolutely nothing. That's your body when you eat a 7-layer burrito. This is all worthless. Just so you know, it's not going to do anything for you. You're still going to be hungry. I'll grab down on a imaginary 7-layer burrito with you. Hell yeah.
Yeah. There's also a pizza vending machine. Have you seen these?
Like an actual vending machine for pizza?
This is real. This is not my fantasy. They have this now. It's a vending machine that has inside. It makes a pizza. It has a dough. It flattens it out. It pours the sauce. It cooks it. It shoots out the pizza in its own box. And then you're off and running.
Oh my God, no human needed. Is that Japanese? Because I feel like my friend Adam and Zoe, I think on their honeymoon, showed me like a bunch of vending stuff that they were buying when they were in Japan, and they were so excited. They're like, "This is so fun! You just literally put money in and like oh yeah."
I think so. Yeah,
it's like a Japanese thing. They're like, "We'll replace that human with a robot, and it'll be so exciting that you won't even mind that human doesn't have a job now." They're like, "I want a pizza made by a man." They're like, "You fucking savage! Get one like out of a vending machine like the rest of us."
Yeah, no, it's the total novelty, and I'm a big pizza connoisseur, so you would think that I would want like a fire, like what's that, a pizza oven, right? Yeah. The clay and the breaking. No, just give me on my way, to go, just pop out a pizza real quick.
I love it. I'm down.
The other section would be Jackrabbit Slims from Pulp Fiction.
$5 milkshake, which
yes,
30 years later, you're like, that's actually pretty cheap for a milkshake. I don't get milkshakes a lot, Brent, but I swear to God, anytime I do get a milkshake these days, I'm like, this is a lot more than the milkshake from Pulp Fiction. And they were saying that was expensive. I still use that as my... This is why I can't connect with like 20-year-olds, because they're like, Pulp Fiction, isn't that an old people movie? I'm like, no, it just came out. It's got great dialogue. Have you seen it? Oh, it's been out since I was a fucking little boy? Jesus Christ. Yeah, $5 milkshake, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it.
So that kind of vibe, that kind of diner vibe with the cars as booths, for sure.
Who does the song? It's not Chuck Berry. Is it Chuck Berry? It was a teenage wedding, and the folks wished him well. It is Chuck Berry, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Dude, that whole scene. God, that whole movie.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all I got for the kitchen, but
okay. Let's go to the Rasta room. I gotta use the bathroom.
Okay. The what?
I call it the Rasta room, man. It's a dad joke I've had since I was like 14. Thanks for laughing at it. Almost no one ever has. I'll be like, hey man, can I use the Rasta room? And people are like, what? The bathroom. We're like, oh, it's over there. Why'd you say that other thing? I was like, just to add a little spice of life. The bathroom's down the hall.
That's great. Like a joke that doesn't have any context, that no one
appreciates except for the teller.
Yeah.
Me? My little joke.
For the bathroom, I have to go back to The Shining, and
The shitting?
I have the red bathroom from The Shining with the Charles Grady character as like the attendant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who's every time I walk in, I'll just say, hey Charles, how's it going, whatever. But he's always trying to get me to kill my wife and child.
Yeah.
he's just constantly trying to talk me into it, but that's the fun of it, is that he won't ever, and that's just a fun challenge.
It strengthens you. This is your anti-fragility. Every day having someone try to get you to, here's how you kill your wife and kids. And you're like, nope, not going to fall for it. I will say one thing. I love how clean your bathroom is. Yes,
it is spotless because he has nothing else to do.
So clean.
He's got spotless.
If there's anything that you learned in The Shining, is that the public restrooms, very clean. Private bathtubs, swampy and nightmarish. So I'm very glad that's the bathroom you chose.
But that's okay. So that section is kind of like the entrance where the sinks are, the urinals. But if you go back into the other section, it's like a command center. Like there's one throne, in the middle of the room, and there's like a desk console thing in front of me.
Yeah,
kind of like the bridge from the Enterprise. Next Generation.
Love it.
Bridge.
Yeah. With
a giant screen in front. So at that point, you can go anywhere. You can watch TV, movies. You can go on the internet. Anything you have at your disposal. But there's also like my complete library of books. If I feel like reading. There's also musical instruments readily available that I can just grab and play around with. So anything I want to do.
What would you grab right now, too? If you're giving us the tour, you're like, John, check this one out.
Probably like a bass.
I was just gonna say bass. That's what you used to play.
Yeah.
Bust out a bass.
Mm-hmm. Just a quick little bass groove.
You do Seinfeld for us after we've been through The Shining. After you've taken us to The Shining, you're like, hey, and I'm like, what is this fucking freak gonna play for us? Not so bad at all.
That's all I got for the bathroom.
That's great. I mean, we've got like another 10 minutes left. So do you have other places you want to show us, like master bedroom or any kind of other weird rooms or anything?
Okay, master bedroom. The only cool thing I would have is a planetarium above the bed.
Dude, how many Metallica riffs can we fit into this? Master bedroom, and then it's got a planetarium. Look at stars. And they're from the same album too. Planetarium. Any of our non-Metallica listeners will be like, I don't get it. But all the Metallica heads will be like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a planetarium.
Yeah, anybody who hasn't heard Master Puppets needs to go out and fix that immediately.
Stop what you're doing right now.
Plant like a dome above the bed, and every night there's a new documentary style presentation given to me with new topics every night. But it's
even
all
on date night with your wife when you're like trying to get it on, and you're like, hang on, honey, we're about to learn about a sector we've never learned about before.
Well, yeah, it would have to be tailored.
Planetarium, can you just give us 20, maybe 25 minutes?
You're too kind.
Oh, really? Look at you. I've noticed the times go up longer the older I get. My attention span, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be fucking right now. I'm all like, okay, I've gotta send that paperwork to the accountant. Oh Jesus, I almost forgot. The quarterly's coming up. You know who I have to call back tomorrow? I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I've got to come. My wife's got somewhere to be. And then now with this planetarium, I'm just like, oh, do you realize how small we are, honey, in the infinitesimalness of all this stuff? At least the physical universe. We're very small, am I right? She's like, are you going to come? Oh yeah, sorry, babe. How about you go up and ride me that way so we can get over this? And I got shit to do. You got shit to do, right? I'm with you.
You got it. You got it.
I love the planetarium.
So I guess the last spot would be my favorite spot in the house.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Which is unoriginal. It's a movie theater. You probably could have figured that out by now.
Dude, that's
but
all
it's
right.
designed. It's designed as like a classic, like 1920s movie palace.
Yeah.
With balconies and
that's the first thing I thought of. Yep.
A full concession stand, at the bottom with rotating shifts. People working the concession stand are movie characters, so on a rotating basis. So I never know who's going to be behind the counter pouring slushies.
Pee Wee Herman,
Darth Vader. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Yoda, you're like looking over the counter. Somebody here to help me, and like, oh, it's Yoda. And Willow. Oh man. Dude, I love. Oh my god, Warwick Davis. He did an amazing show on HBO called "Life's Too Short." Did you ever see it?
Yes. Oh. Where he traveled around, right?
It's a mockumentary, and he's supposed to be an agent. He plays himself, and it's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay,
great humor. I think Ricky Gervais probably produced it. And,
yeah.
I just thought of him and Yoda working behind the concession stand, and you're like imagining.
Arguing who has to reach up to get the cups or something.
And you and I standing there going like, you think they would have picked like one tall person to offset it so that they could work together? It's all really. And then what's the name who played Mini-Me? Vernon
Troyer.
Vernon Troyer. Rest his soul. Just all three of them working behind the counter. And I'm like, hey, can I get some milk duds? And you ever go to ArcLight and just get their caramel corn?
For sure.
Do they have that at your Fantasy House Theater?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
But okay, inside though is a full-on Alamo Drafthouse. Have you been to an Alamo Drafthouse theater before?
I have not, but one of my dear friends, Wendy Ramirez, who is a fantastic tattooer that moved to Austin.
Yeah.
When before she moved there, she would tell me how much she loved Austin, and she would love going to the Alamo Drafthouse, and she would just always tell me how great. She's like, "You like going to a theater? How about a theater where you could get chicken fingers and just chill out?" Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like an amazing time." So go on.
It's the best movie theater in the world. I'll just say it.
So right.
They have to get there. There's a long hallway, even though it's in my house. Whatever. I'm purposely building a long, elongated hallway with movie posters lining the walls.
What posters are we looking at? You got to point a couple out while we're giving the tour.
It's got to be like the giant, like foreign posters, like not the ones that you've seen your whole life, but like a giant like Japanese Star Wars poster that's like 10 feet tall and like 40 feet wide or something. Oh,
I love it.
Stuff like that.
Oh, it's so cool already.
Vintage, and cool posters like that. But so when you get in, they curate a pre-show, so they show you. So let's say, the movie I chose for us to watch, but I'll skip ahead, is Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
But so we're watching Nacho Libre, like before the pre-show. It's not just commercials and trailers. It's like stuff that's related to the movie you're about to watch that you've probably never seen. It's like actual lucha libre wrestling, and then it's a commercial from Mexico that has, action figures or it's all related to the movie you're about to watch. And then they also, there's a full restaurant, so there's a menu, you order your food, whatever. But they also do like curated menu items for the movie. So they would, well, in this case, it would be nachos somehow, like some awesome, like steak nachos or something really like nachos times 10.
Yeah. What's it? Is it Jared? Is it Jared Hess or is it
Jared Hess? Yeah.
Dude, I love every movie that guy has made.
Yes.
Do you like his movies? Like besides Nacho Libre? Okay, obviously we all love Napoleon. For our listeners, just in case any of you don't know this, Napoleon Dynamite was his first big hit.
Mm-hmm.
Then Nacho Libre.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gentleman Broncos, which no one liked. I talked to so many people that I was like, dude, I just saw this awesome movie. And everyone's like, that movie sucked. And I was like, are you sure we saw the same movie? I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
It's such an awesome movie, and the acting in it is so good. And Jared has such great dry, like if you like Coen Brothers, but a little bit more whimsical, like just dry humor where it's like you got to be paying attention, and it's going to be deadpan, but it's fucking drop dead hilarious. So God bless you for having a Jared Hess movie that we can watch in your fantasy house. I'm so stoked.
Every line in Nacho Libre is funny.
Oh, it's so good.
You know,
it made me want to watch it right now. Actually,
I know it's every line. Like, how is that like Jack Black is a huge key to that success, right?
Sure. Oh,
but
for sure.
Just everything that they put together, like the character, the dialogue, the performance, like every line is funny. And for comedy, that's unprecedented, I think. Even like Mel Brooks or,
whoa,
like,
whoa. Don't you start trying to hack away with Mel. I'm just joking. I'm teasing you.
He's at the top, right? Yeah. Like for me too.
Oh, same here.
But I don't find myself giggling constantly, Yeah. So anyways, for you, I thought it would be great to just laugh for an hour and a half constantly at Nacho Libre.
Dude, eating nachos, watching Nacho Libre with you is like, this is if this was a live action TV show in a fantasy world, like this is when the credits would be rolling, is you and me like laughing and eating nachos. I'm serious. It's like perfect. One of those like Anthony Bourdain or like like a travel like eating show, just like if I was just like grubbing down, because that's so much fun about this, and that's what's so important in real houses too. It's like where are you eating and where are you shitting? Like you know what I mean? And like there's all this other fun stuff, but it's really about like, as human beings, like being comfortable. It's a primal thing to be comfortable when we're preparing our food, eating our food, and then being comfortable when we're, making love and then evacuating that food, all that kind of stuff.
In that order.
Yeah. Depends, right? Wow, we've had a lot of date night talks on this episode. I can't wait for my wife to hear this one. Babe, you're going to love. Your wife's going to be like, I don't think I like your John friend. He's fucking gross. I'm like, baby, I'm just trying to be honest. What else here? Oh, dude, no, I love your fantasy house, man. Thank you. Thanks for and it's funny, you I love that you came humbly, where you're like, I hope this is all right, man. It might not. But dude, it was a great fantasy house.
Oh, good.
So awesome.
It was super fun. Anytime I get to play around like that, I'll take it.
Oh man, I love it, and I'd love to have you back on another one too. Like I've been experimenting, trying new things, and I've had return guests now do like holiday themed houses. So I just had Lindsay Jennings. She just did a Thanksgiving episode that came out on Thanksgiving. So her whole house was like a cornucopia, and it was all weird. And
nice.
I had Joel Jimenez do a Halloween episode. So he had like a full spooky, like Halloween themed house. So it's like, dude, you got to come back and do like another like themed holiday, or even if you get an idea for a theme, Brent, if you're like, hey dude, like this is based on a movie that I love or whatever, you can do a whole house based on it. Like, cause I really love like hearing like a piece of your creative mind. And was it fun for you to just go into Creative Zone, like, and just kind of write this out?
I had to stop myself, because I could literally come up with 10 different houses with all this stuff. So no, it was super fun.
Oh, it makes me so excited.
And getting to play around with like my passion is movies, and how would I incorporate that into my life? Like on a daily basis. Like how would I turn that into like this perfect? And my wife would hate it. she I didn't describe her house, which is separate. She lives in that house. This is the guest house that I'm in.
Oh, that's so funny. The man cave. You're like, even in my fantasy world, my wife still really has control over the house. My buddy posted the other day. He said, "How come everyone always talks about man caves and no one talks about the she shed?" And I was just like, "Because the reason we have the man caves is because our wife's in control of whatever the hell she wants for the house."
Right.
All the political talk about the patriarchy, I'm just like, I don't know a single dude whose wife isn't the fucking boss.
Right.
Like I was like, we're all just like, oh shit, the boss is home. Holy shit, we're all busted. I was like, what patriarchy? When I go to work and I'm a slave at work, I come home, I ain't the boss, and I don't know a single man who is. It's her house. Even in the fantasy world, Brent's like, okay, if my wife lets me have this, I'm like, Brent, it's your fantasy house. Like, she still might not let me have it. I'm like, okay.
I have to be grounded a little bit,
That's right.
Has to have one toe on reality here.
There's limits. It's like Jocko Willing says. There's freedom in the discipline. You've got to have the limits so that you can enjoy yourself. So
right,
good. My wife's here too. She's cracking the whip. I'm not even allowed to have a podcast, for God's sake. She doesn't know I have a podcast. I hear the door banging on the door. Are you having fun in there? I'm like, oh, no. I'm very stressed out and unhappy. Okay. She walks away. I'm like, that was a close one.
Oh, so funny.
Dude, do you want guests to find you anywhere? Do you have like an Instagram or a Facebook or any of the stuff you want them to find?
Facebook, I think I'm Brent Dunham 3 on Facebook, like the third one. I don't know how you search that, but
that's great. Yeah. That sounds very fancy. Brent Dunham the third?
Yeah. The long line of Brent Dunhams. There's actually another Brent Dunham who I'm friends with on Facebook. It was weird.
You had to? You're like, we got one thing in common.
Yeah.
We're homies.
Then I guess you should check out the podcast. Talkin-it-out-radio is you can find that on Apple Podcasts and everywhere.
And send me a link to it so we can put a link in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Talking It Out podcast. Guys, listen to Talking It Out podcast. Support Brent. I think this is great. We always need to continue to have conversation in our world. There's so many weird talks right now. The meme now of people saying, civil war, this and that. And it's like, guys, let's not create a self-fulfilling prophecy of negativity and tribalism. Let's talk it out with other diplomatic humans and see all of the stuff, share our stuff that we have in common instead of the stuff that we don't have in common. And I think that's awesome. So I'm very thankful that you're creating this podcast, and I hope that continues to happen through our society of people realizing that's the way forward. So super rad.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for showing us your imagination, really taking us in there, letting us be a blessed guest. # blessed guest. Seriously. So great. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow Brent. Go listen to, subscribe to Talking It Out, and start your own Talking It Out too. Start talking to people. Start keeping the conversation going. Be silly and have fun. Oh yeah, guys, give us a 5-star review. Give us any review you think we deserve. Just give us a review. Hit the share button. Let somebody know about this episode. And spread the love. All right, guys. Ciao.